Friday, April 24th, and I'll be reading Glory Be, Chapter 6 for our read aloud today. But for the teacher model, I will be reading a short article about reefs that we actually read during the school year. So the passage I read today should look very familiar to you. Today's objective, students will be able to use context clues to identify the meaning of an unknown word. Okay, when we read stories, whether they're fiction, nonfiction, no matter what genre, we are going to run into words we have never seen before. We might be able to sound them out, but we may not know what it means. So we have to use context clues in order to determine the meaning of these words. Your DOL today is the iReady Context Clues 1 assignment. You must complete it until you reach the quiz at the end, and you do need to take that quiz because that's the grade I put in the grade book. So make sure you are completing those quizzes at the end of the iReady lessons. There are 5 of you in the class who are unable to get onto iReady due to the laptops or computers at home, so I did post another assignment for you 5. Let's get started. Context clues, and I know this is kind of blurry, but you can read it for the most part. Context clues are clues that good readers use to find the meaning of unknown words. And some context clues you can use are through pictures, helping words, words you know, and examples and definitions. You can also use synonyms, words that mean the same, and antonyms, words that mean the opposite. You can look for all of these different things in stories in order to help you find the definition of a word. Today we'll be using two different context clues in order to find the meaning of unknown words. So let's get started. Reefs at risk. And I underline the 2 words that we will be finding the definition of through context clues. Hundreds of clownfish dart or quickly move in and out of the gaps in coral reefs. The reefs are home to thousands of ocean plants and animals. Along with fish, those animals include crabs, turtles, and seahorses. Those ocean creatures may have no place to live in the future. Many coral reefs around the world have been destroyed, and many more are being destroyed. Some scientists say more than half of the world's reefs may be gone by the year 2030. So it's in 10 years. It's crazy. What is causing coral reefs to disappear? Scientists say people are largely to blame. Ships and fishing nets often damage the reefs. Other threats include pollution, storms, and disease. For example, humans are polluting the oceans by throwing garbage in it. This is causing reefs to disappear. It's alive. Coral reefs may look like rocks, but they are actually living structures. They are made up of tiny sea animals. Those tiny creatures are called coral polyps. The polyps build hard shells around themselves. When a polyp dies, it leaves behind its shell. Young polyps attach themselves to old shells. Over many years, the polyps form a coral reef. So reflecting on what I just read, I see the underlined word dart, which is pronounced correctly, but I don't really know what dart means. And then I'm looking at pollution. Again, I've heard the word, I can say the word, but don't know what that means. So I will use context clues to help me figure out the definition or meaning of those words. Using context clues to find the meanings of dart. Well, in the text, the word dart was followed by or quickly move. This must mean that when fishes dart, they are moving quickly. Okay, I used the surrounding words in order to find the definition of dart. Next is pollution. Just like the anchor chart told us, examples provide us with meanings to unknown words. After the article stated that pollution is damaging coral reefs, the example told us that humans are polluting the oceans by throwing garbage in it. Pollution must mean garbage in the oceans. Wow. So we were able to take examples and surrounding words in order to help us find the meaning. And other times you'll see pictures, words you already know, synonyms and antonyms. Okay, so Your independent work today is I Ready? Context Clues 1. And now I'll be reading out loud Chapter 6 of Glory Be. Chapter 6, Twirling Fire. I hid behind a giant oak tree and looked into the library window, then over toward Fireman's Park. Jesslyn was nowhere to be seen. I licked ice cream from the dreamsicle off my fingers, wiped them clean on my shorts, and pushed open the heavy door in the library. Still no Jesslyn. I'd been helping Miss Bloom all summer, so I knew my way around the library. I sneaked downstairs past the storerooms. I turned the corner near a box of old newspapers that stunk worse than dead catfish. Just as I was about to give up ever finding my sister, I caught a whiff of Evening in Paris. A rumbling floor fan made it hard for me to hear, but that was definitely Jesslyn's voice coming from inside a room down the hall. That was Jesslyn's perfume, too. Another voice chimed in that didn't sound one bit like Mary Louise Williams planning a birthday party. I pressed up against the wall, holding my breath. I love Elvis Presley. I have every one of his records, Jesslyn was saying. Me too, but I had to leave them back in North Carolina when I left so fast, I heard a voice say. Elvis and me, we even had the same middle name, Aaron. Did you know Aaron is Elvis's middle name? As if Jesslyn didn't own a scrapbook full of Elvis stuff and even a plaster of Paris Elvis statue. She was liable to stand up and start singing Love Me Tender right then. I held my breath and leaned around the door for a look. There was a boy with long sideburns, sitting real close and talking to Jesslyn. I ducked back before they caught me. You look a little bit like Elvis, Jesslyn was saying. I almost gagged. Maybe we can drive up to Memphis to see Elvis's fancy house, the voice with the sideburns said. Or maybe to Bella, where Elvis was born. You reckon your daddy'd mind? Now, as sure as I knew my own middle name, our daddy, Brother Joe Hemphill, would no sooner let his daughter drive out of town with a strange boy with the same middle name as Elvis than he'd let her fly to the moon. My daddy won't mind a bit, my sister said. Lordy, Jesslyn was in trouble for sure. I hurried out of the library back across the street and sat down at the kitchen table to drink a glass of cold milk. Daddy sat next to me, working on his crossword puzzle when Jesslyn waltzed in, breathless, like she'd seen the real Elvis. Hey, honey, Daddy said. You get what you needed at the library? He went back to his puzzle. Yes, sir, Daddy. She didn't even look at me. And Mary Louise and I were talking just now. We need to go to Memphis to buy stuff for her birthday. And our batons for Pep Squad. Batons? Don't you already have a baton? Our daddy glanced up, but he kept his number 2 pencil perched right on the paper so he wouldn't lose his place. Do you know a 6-letter word for a mythical creature? Jesslyn stood with her hand on her hip. She did that a lot lately. She didn't answer Daddy's crossword question. The one I need is a fire baton. I'm learning how to twirl fire. She dragged fire out like she was about to star in Mr. Ringling's Big Top Circus. Now, you'd think Daddy would have at least put his pencil down and thought a little bit about his oldest daughter traveling to Memphis to buy a fire baton. But no, he kept on worrying over that 6-letter word for a mythical creature. I'll think on it, Daddy finally said. Mary Louise's cousin is driving. She had her license for a long time, Jesslyn said. That's her Aunt Betty's girl? Daddy knew most everybody in Hanging Moss. My sister paused for one quick second before answering. No, sir, she said. It's somebody you've never met. All right, that's chapter 6 of Glory Be. I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Don't forget to complete all of your work today.